Hey guys, Richard Blaine here. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel tonight. You know, I took a little break last week because every now and again I got to take a break. And then I thought about what is it that I wanted to cook this coming week on Richard Blaine's Easy Cooking. And so I thought and thought I'd make something a little bit esoteric, something that you don't see every day anymore. I thought I would make sweetbreads, okay? A lot of people I know don't even know what a sweetbread is, so I decided to make sweetbreads. Sweetbreads are the pancreas or the thymus gland of either beef calves, pork piglets, veal, or lamb. It's quite popular in Europe, and it can be made many different ways. And this week, I thought I would make sweetbreads for you, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sweetbreads with mushrooms, bacon, shallots, in a lovely little sauce. It's going to take 2 days to make. Now, you don't have to take 2 days to make it, but in this case, it's going to take 2 days to make because I'm going to use a long culinary process to do it. So right now, what I'm going to share with you is step number 1, degorging or soaking the sweetbreads, and then tomorrow we'll move on to the second step. So as usual with YouTube, 15 minutes. Let's get going. I'll see you on the other side. Okay guys, so here we are. These are sweetbreads. This is veal sweetbreads, the most common kind of sweetbread you'll find at a fine dining restaurant, okay? Okay, this is the pancreas of the veal. Okay, I've rinsed it off. It looks clean, but actually it's not. There's some more impurities. So what I'm going to do in the next step with these sweetbreads is I'm going to do something called degorging, which is basically just soaking them in what they call acidulated water. Acidulated water is just a fancy culinary term for water with an acid content, accomplished by adding either vinegar, white wine, lemon, or lime juice, and maybe some salt. But basically, it's a brine, but it's designed to get the blood and impurities out of these sweetbreads as the first step, because the final step will be to remove these membranes and get these puppies going. So let's make some acidulated water and then put these in the water. All right, guys. So what I basically have here is a little bit more than a quart of water, and I'm going to add some salt. You can basically use any kind of salt you want, regular table salt, kosher salt. This is coarsely ground Italian sea salt. It's really all that I had on hand. And you want to put that salt in the water, and you want to whisk it till it dissolves. Now that's not the acid content, but the salt helps to drag out impurities. And to that, I'm going to add some lemon juice, okay? So there it is. That is what they call acidulated water, okay? It's nothing more than basically a brine. Get those drops off of there. It's nothing more than basically a brine, but the combination of the salt and the lemon will leach impurities out of these sweetbreads. So there it is, that's it. That salt's basically dissolved. All right, next step. Add the sweetbreads. There's one. There's two. And there's three. That's it, guys. Step number 1. Now, these sweetbreads are going to sit in this acidulated water for 24 hours. These are going to sit in my refrigerator for 24 hours in this acidulated water. Now, I will change this water 3 times in the next 24 hours before we move on to the next step. And that next step will be blanching and pressing these sweetbreads. And that's going to be tomorrow. Richard Blaine here. Thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel tonight. If you watched earlier, which was yesterday, then you would know that today is tomorrow, because yesterday was yesterday, and here we are to do the second part of my sweetbreads recipe. So today is tomorrow from yesterday. Let's not get started with the semantics, but just to let you know, we're going to move on to the second part of preparing these sweetbreads, okay? Okay, guys, so here we are. The sweetbreads are in this saucepan, okay? And I'm blanching them at about 160, 170 degree water. You see, it's just a very slow blanching. You don't want to boil, you want to blanch, okay? I'm going to blanch these sweetbreads for 15 minutes. Now here's the deal. there's three ways you can do sweetbreads. You could blanch them in plain water. You could blanch them in any kind of stock you want. Chicken stock, vegetable stock, beef stock, veal, fish. You could blanch these sweetbreads in any kind of stock you want. And then the third option is called court bouillon, or in French, court bouillon. Okay? Court bouillon is basically a stock that you make. Okay? It can include garlic and pepper and salt, bay leaves, cloves, lemon rinds. A court bouillon could include anything. So what I did with these sweetbreads for blanching is I made what I call a poor man's court bouillon. Okay? What I basically did was you put the sweetbreads in the saucepan when the water's cold and you bring it up. Okay? When it starts to boil, you turn it down to this blanch. Okay? To this very slow boil. Okay? Then I basically added salt, freshly ground black pepper, garlic granules, and onion powder, what I call a poor man's court bouillon. Okay? And I'm going to blanch these sweetbreads for 15 minutes. Okay? And then we're going to move on to the next step, which is taking off the membrane and pressing them. Okay, guys, there it is. There are the sweetbreads. They're sitting in ice cold water. Okay? I've shocked them. I've taken them out of the hot water and I've put them in this ice cold water, and it's going to shock them. It's going to make them contract and expel any further impurities. If you can see, this one's already expelling some. Okay? I'm going to let the sweetbreads sit in this water for about 10 minutes and chill out. And then I'm going to put them on a cutting board and I'm going to remove the membranes, and then we're going to press them, and then we'll finally cook them tomorrow. So hang on tight. Hey guys, here comes the tedious part. The tedious part is removing this membrane from the sweetbreads. So it's going to take handwork, but you want the membrane gone. Okay? That means you're going to have to do some pulling. Okay? It's thin. This is the most tedious part. Okay? You want to leave enough of the membrane on to hold the sweetbreads together. But if they happen to fall apart, that's okay. Okay? Because you can still section them out and they'll still be delicious. So I'm going to get this membrane gone, and then we're going to move on to the next step of pressing the sweetbreads before cooking. So, okay guys, here they are. These are the trimmed sweetbreads. A little bit fell apart, and that's okay. You know, they fell apart, and that's all right because they're all going to cook up and be delicious anyway. So I've trimmed off the membrane and any remaining gristle. Now, I have them on a plate. Okay, I have them on a plate, and this is a double layer lint-free clean towel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to fold it over the sweetbread. Okay, and then I'm going to put another plate on top of the sweetbreads, and then I'm going to weigh this plate down. Okay, there's about 6 pounds here. There we go. Level it out. There's about 6 pounds sitting on top of the sweetbreads. I'm using the cans. I wanted to use my teapot, but the shelves in my refrigerator won't allow it. So I've got about 6 pounds here of cans, putting pressure on the sweetbreads, pressing out all the excess moisture. It's going to flatten them out to about 3/4 of an inch. Okay, you want to use between 6 and 10 pounds. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do it like this. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for 24 hours. Hey guys, Richard Blaine here. Thanks for stopping by my Easy Cooking channel. Well, it's been 2 days. Okay, the sweetbreads have been put in acidulated water. They've been blanched and they've been pressed, and they're still in the refrigerator being pressed. So right now I'm going to take them out for the third and final stage, and we're going to cook these sweetbreads in a lovely mushroom, garlic, and shallot sauce. So as usual with YouTube, let's get going. 15 minutes. I'll see you on the other side. Okay guys, here they are. These are the sweetbreads after they've been pressed. They have the light aroma of the poor man's court bouillon that I used with the onion powder, garlic, salt, and pepper. But they've been pressed down to about 3/4 of an inch. And they're a lot meatier than if you didn't squeeze the excess moisture out of them. So what we're going to do now is going to cook these in some butter and some oil, get them caramelized, and then move on to the next step. So let's get going. Okay guys, so these sweetbreads are cooking at a nice sizzle. I'm going to add just a little bit of black pepper for the flavor
Combination
layer.
of oil
and butter. Butter for flavor, oil for the smoke point. But I'm not using a rocking sizzle here. I'm just using a nice, comfortable sizzle because I want to caramelize these sweetbreads on one side for about 5, maybe 10 minutes. Each stove is different. And then I'm going to turn them over for about 3 or 4 minutes. And then I'm going to remove them from the pan and move on with some of the aromatics. So, okay guys, you see how nutty brown? I got the sweetbreads on one side. It's been actually about 8 minutes with my stove. So it's been 8 minutes on one side to get this nice nutty brown color, and it's probably going to be 3 or 4 minutes to get the same color on the other side. Then I'm going to remove these sweetbreads and start working with the aromatics and other components of the sauce. So hang on tight, we're almost there. Okay guys, there they are. Nice and nutty brown. The sweetbreads are done. I'm going to remove them and set them aside, and we're going to get to work on the aromatics. Okay guys, in that pan, there is some bacon ends and pieces, about 2 cloves of garlic and 1 shallot that's been minced, and it's starting to brown. Okay, now to that I'm going to add 1 can of mushrooms. Okay, now you could use fresh mushrooms, okay, but I decided to use canned mushrooms because fresh mushrooms soak up oil like a sponge, and I could have taken fresh mushrooms and blanched them to get the same consistency as the canned mushrooms. So I thought, as a time saver, I would just use canned mushrooms, besides the fact that I like the flavor of the salty brine, and that's why I haven't added salt in any other steps here. So I'm going to cook this down. Okay, everything is browning up, and I'm just going to add a little flour. Now, do I have to use a calculated recipe for roux? No, not necessary. Okay. Cooking is all about winging sauce, okay? Nah, I think you could use a little bit more, okay? But I don't have to go for any measured recipe. All right, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's looking about right. Okay, there's enough oil in the pan, enough fat in the pan that I don't have to add anything else but the flour. Okay, now I'm going to cook this flour on high and keep this stuff moving because I want to cook the flour taste out of the flour and get it to combine with the shallot, the garlic, and the mushroom, which it's doing quite famously right now. Okay, I'm going to heat this up. Okay. And then I'm going to deglaze, okay, those brown bits created by the shallot and the garlic, okay, and some of the browned flour. Okay, guys, there are the sweetbreads reincorporated into the sauce. Okay, you stir them up. Okay, get them wet. There we go. And I'm going to let them cook this way for about 5 minutes. Maybe a little more. Maybe 10. What I think